Welcome to the VoterTorque podcast series. The New Zealand general election is going to be held on the 19th of September this year, which isn't very far away. We thought it was time for some informed commentary, so we'd really like you to join us for this and our subsequent podcasts. Hi, I'm Heather Roy, and I'm here with my TalkPoint business partner, Simon Ewing-Jarvie.
G'day and welcome. This podcast is about election advertising. Have you seen any billboards going up in your area yet? Have you seen any defaced already? Heather, they're everywhere at this time, adverts and...
They are, and advertising's got a very broad definition, so it's everything from billboards, which parties and candidates are putting up at the moment, through to newspaper advertising, and particularly, it's becoming quite prevalent now, digital advertising, so that's advertisements on Facebook and Twitter and all of those sorts of places that people go to now. A disclaimer from me, Simon, before we start getting too far into this discussion, is that I'm the chair of the governance board of the Advertising Standards Authority. I don't hear any complaints, but I do have that association with the organisation. I think the other thing that we should remember is that we've got two referenda. They're going to create a lot of interest this election, one on euthanasia and the other on cannabis reform, and there's going to be lots of advertising, and in fact I've noticed it already on those two issues as well.
Right. It can be a bit confusing for some people though to work out who exactly you complain to if you've got concerns about election advertising that you're hearing. There's several agencies.
There are, and some are better known than others. So the first one that is we've already talked about is the Electoral Commission, and they look at advertiser identity. So every advertisement has to be authorised by somebody. They also look at promoter statement issues, and the thing that they're probably best known for is looking at expenditure limits, and we've had some issues recently about how much parties have spent.
Yes.
And declared.
Indeed. So what about if you see things in print, digital news sites or editorial content like in the newspaper that you don't agree with?
Yeah, so the agency that you should look to there to complain to is the New Zealand Media Council. So, as you've said, they deal with anything in print, digital news sites, and any editorial content are their jurisdiction, if you like.
What about advertising generally?
So the Broadcasting Standards Authority looks at TV and radio party and candidate ads. So anything that appears on TV and radio falls under their umbrella, and any program content on those two media as well. Everything else is the purview of the Advertising Standards Authority. So they look at paid party and candidate ads in all media other than TV and radio, and paid referenda and third-party election ads and all other media also fall under their umbrella.
Right, so they're all online. I guess you can go and find where you can make a complaint.
That's right.
Let's look at some examples of issues.
So if the advertiser identity isn't clear in an advertisement you're looking at, you can complain to the Electoral Commission. As I mentioned just earlier, every advertisement does have to be authorised by somebody from the party. Sometimes it's the candidate, sometimes it'll be the party secretary.
Yeah, there was a case in recent elections where there was mass mail drop, so with no identification as to who'd put it in.
That's right, and normally for the parties it would be the party secretary who's authorised, and their address has to be there as well.
Yeah. So what's some other examples?
Another example, the Broadcasting Standards Authority would be the group that you contact if there's a TV or a radio program about an election issue that you think is misleading or not representative of the views of that party or candidate.
What about an ad from a lobby group, say an organisation that set themselves up? They're not a political organisation, but they're lobbying for a political party.
Yes, and we're probably going to see a lot of this election with the two referenda, which are also covered. So a lobby group ad on an election issue or on one of the two referenda, you'd go to the Advertising Standards Authority to complain about.
Right. If there was a print story on political party policies that you didn't agree with, where would you go?
If you'd likely to see that in the newspaper, I suppose, and you would go to the New Zealand Media Council about that.
If you go to the wrong agency with your complaint, will they redirect it or just send you away?
No, they will redirect it. I know that these four organisations have got together to put together a really good brochure that sort of spells all of this out, and my understanding is that they've set this up together, and they will refer you on to the right agency if you've got the wrong one. So really, in the first instance, try and get it right, but if you don't, you will be passed to the right place.
There's some pretty extreme stuff, politically speaking, on social media and on blogs and all that sort of thing. Can you complain to anyone about that?
Yes, you can. You can complain about anything that you think is misleading or not representative.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's enough from us for today, but we'd really like to hear from you too. What would you like to know about election 2020?
Yeah, perhaps there are things you'd like to know from people who've actually been elected or worked in Parliament. How much do your views have in common with each of the political parties? Sometimes that's quite surprising.
We'll do our best to answer your questions in future VoterTorque podcasts, and we hope that will help you spend your votes wisely.
That's right, and you can contact us through the contact section on our website, torquepoint.co.nz. That's talk as in leverage, TORQUEPOINT.co.nz. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. Thanks for joining the conversation. I'm Simon Ewing-Jarvie.
And I'm Heather Roy. Talk to you soon.